Who's the photographer who takes the pictures of Spider-Man?
Isn't it weird that the Green Goblin wants to know who takes photos of Spider-Man on the Daily Bugle newspaper when the photo credit literally says Peter Parker? Welcome to the channel. Sit back and relax as we unfold the 10 biggest movie plot holes that still bothers fans. Number 10, Spider-Man. Now, I'm sure we know Peter Parker was hired on a freelance basis to take pictures of Spider-Man by greedy sleazeball J.J. Jameson, the Daily Bugle's editor-in-chief.
Give you $300. That's a standard freelance fee.
I'd like a job, sir.
No jobs. Freelance. Best thing in the world for a kid your age.
By being a freelance photographer, he retained all rights to his pictures and should get photo credits when used as he did. Fans have, however, for ages scratched their heads in confusion that if the Green Goblin truly read the Daily Bugle's paper, which this scene implies he did, he wouldn't by any means barge in on J.J. Jameson. It does want to make you feel this whole scene is kind of pointless. I mean, why do all that when you could have checked the photo credit, like any normal person would? Plus, the photo credit's name, Peter Parker, would definitely ring a bell. His son Harry goes to school with a kid called Peter Parker, and he has met him too.
Peter, may I introduce my father, Norman Osborn?
Heard so much about you.
Great honor to meet you, sir.
Anyways, even the best movies aren't always perfect. But let me know in the comments what you think about this Spider-Man's plot hole. Number 9, Shawshank Redemption. Good old Andy Dufresne, the guy who crawled through a river of turd and came out clean on the other side. But it's been 30 whole years and the people still want to know, who put the picture back on the wall after Andy escaped through the hole? To get to the bottom of this, let's take it from the beginning. To attain his freedom from Shawshank Prison where he was serving life, Andy Dufresne knew he had to make a ballsy escape. He did that by painstakingly chipping away at the wall little at a time, using a ball-peen hammer for 20 whole years until his escape tunnel was dug. He kept the hole in the wall secret by covering it with a poster of Raquel Welch. But what's unbelievably crazy is that the poster was still on the wall after he was long gone. Over the years, the question of who put or taped the poster back on the wall so well has been subject to debate by movie fans all over the internet. Common sense suggests there's no way Andy Dufresne taped it back so well from inside the hole. This Reddit user says, and I quote, "I think it was only connected on the top because you can see him working on it in one scene behind the poster. So when he entered, he lifted it up and allowed it to drop back into place. But if it was only connected or taped at the top as this user implies, why does it seem like it's taut when the warden thrust his fingers through it? And why did it take some force to pull it off the wall? Almost like it's glued on."
The fucking thing is glued on. His hat is glued on.
Well, I guess we just have to accept that Andy Dufresne crawled through a river of shit and came out clean on the other side. Number 8, Matilda.
Daddy, you're a crook.
Listen, you little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Most people as kids grew up watching Matilda, but as we got older, it doesn't just sit right with some of us that her terrible dad, Mr. Wormwood, played by Danny DeVito, is the actual narrator. I mean, why would a supposed villain and her antagonist of some sort be the one to narrate Matilda's inner monologue? It's kind of a sad plot hole which didn't sit well with some fans. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are.
What is this trash you're reading?
It's not trash, Daddy.
This is filth. Trash.
Fans argued that it should have been Miss Honey, her beloved schoolteacher who went on to adopt her. She should have been the narrator, or perhaps Matilda herself, not the mean dad. But this Reddit user have got a different take, she said, and I quote, "I love that the father is the narrator. It's super interesting because he is neglectful at absolute best, if not outright abusive. By making the father the narrator, it keeps us guessing what might happen, rather than the obvious happy ending, if Ms. Honey was narrating or Matilda herself." Number 7, the Black Panther.
One more word, and I will feed you to my children. I'm kidding, we are vegetarians.
We've all seen the Black Panther. It had such an impact, but despite how massive this movie was, some things made no sense whatsoever, and the most important one being that after Killmonger supposedly killed T'Challa and threw him off the waterfall mountain, he was found by some fishermen from the Jabari tribe, who for a fact are vegetarians.
One of our fishermen found him at the edge of the river border. He brought him to me.
Since when did a tribe of vegetarians need a crew of fishermen? And since when did vegetarians eat fish? This has become a subject of wild debate for fans for years across the internet. A lot of people would like to think M'Baku is simply joking about being a vegetarian, being the amusing character that he is. But hear the words of the man himself. He confirmed to Variety magazine about his character's veggie diet and how it was well received by the vegetarian community worldwide.
To be honest, it's just kind of teaching kids that eating vegetables is cool, which is I'm all for.
In addition, he's also referred to as the Great Gorilla, which as we know are vegetarians. So it begs the question, what in the world were they thinking? Having a vegetarian fully clothed in fur and leather costume, munching on carrots. How ironic.
Body.
Perhaps the Gorilla King wears synthetic fur made from plants. Number 6, the Halloweens. Halloween's 1978 left a lot of fans puzzled how Michael Myers learned how to drive, since he had spent all his adulthood in a mental facility.
All right, so...
As we know, Michael Myers was 6 years old when he was sent to the Smiths Grove Sanitarium for fatally stabbing his sister with a kitchen knife. 15 years later, he escapes as he was being escorted to a court hearing by attacking his psychiatrist who runs from the vehicle for her life, allowing Michael to steal the car, then drives off. It's nearly impossible that someone at the mental facility did taught him how to drive so perfectly. As there were no errors, crashes, or learning curve, he just casually drove and carried out his murderous spree. Nonetheless, there was some lazy effort, should I say, by John Carpenter, Halloween's creator, to properly explain this plug hole knowing it's going to raise a lot of eyebrows. So they put out the novelization of the Halloween, and in it they explained that he learned how to drive from watching his psychiatrists take him back and forth from the sanitarium to his court hearings. But the book also created a lot of contradicts like Michael talking, which is absurd because Michael was a recluse in the movie and never spoke a word. Number 5, Toy Story. While all the toys in Toy Story knew they were in fact all toys, Buzz had some sort of an identity crisis. You see, he believed he was a real space ranger.
Blast. This'll take weeks to repair.
But even then, whenever it came to being in front of Andy or humans in general, he would still freeze up like all the other toys.
Would you like some tea, Mrs. Nesbit?
This has led to the famous plot hole question discontented fans asked all the time. Why does he freezes up anytime a human is around? I'm afraid we will never get an answer to that question because why? Well, nobody really cares, said Pixar boss Pete Docter in an interview with the Huffington Post. In his words, we went through a lot of discussion on Toy Story, the first one, about if Buzz doesn't know he's a toy, why does he go rigid when a kid walks in the room? We had a lot of explanations and talk about that too. And in the end, nobody cared. Number 4, Monster Inc. Another Pixar masterpiece beloved by fans worldwide. And like most of their work, there's some errors. In this case, it's a continuity error.
You've been jealous of my good looks since the 4th grade, pal.
Sully couldn't have been jealous of Mike in the 4th grade as kids because they didn't meet until college, according to the prequel. Then how could they have missed it in the sequel? The truth is, they didn't. They explained they were well aware that Mike and Sully discussed their childhood friendship, but they chose to ignore the single line to create a better story. So there you have it. Billion-dollar movie production companies, too, can willfully make mistakes, create plot holes rather than sacrificing their film for perfect accuracy. Number 3, The Karate Kid. Showcasing impressive karate skills and talent was the entire point of the movie Karate Kid. They had several trainers on set helping the actors do the stunts right. But even then, they let Daniel win through what many experts and even noobs in karate think is an illegal kick. Daniel should have just been disqualified for this particular kick to the face, because it goes against the rules of the tournament. Even the referee clearly said no face contact.
No face contact is allowed. Any violation of the rules will result in a penalty point. On your line.
But hold up. When we analyze the several fights that took place in that tournament, we see that there are more kicks to the face without disqualification or point reduction. So what's this referee yapping about? Here's what I mean. Johnny, the other fighter in the tournament, kicks this fighter in the face without a penalty point. Then we have Dutch, another fighter in the tournament, kicking Daniel in the face. Still no penalty points. And lastly, it's back to Johnny kicking Vidal in the face, and as we expect, no disqualification. Also, it's great to know Vidal invented the viral crane kick, the most iconic kick in movie history. So it's safe to say this movie directly contradicted itself, thereby creating plot holes. However, not willingly, but movies don't have to follow the rules of real life, as long as there is narrative reason behind those choices. And can we also agree that plot holes sometimes do contribute to the legend of a movie, as in this case the Karate Kid did what was right, to solidify its sports drama's legacy in pop culture history? Number 2, Mamma Mia. Between the movie Mamma Mia and its sequel, there are plenty of continuity errors and inconsistencies, creating plot holes in the overall story. And of all the plot holes in the Mamma Mia series, this one might take the cake, where Donna very angrily talks about her dead mother.
Somebody up there has got it in for me. I bet it's my mother.
So it has been established that her mother has passed on, as she indicated the heavens where her mother might be, right? Now tell me why in the sequel they completely ignored this scene. Because you see, the sequel's central plot point is very much about her back from the dead mother, should I say, which was played by the majestic Cher.
I've decided to commit to being a grandmother.
This plot hole sort of confused a lot of fans. And it is so bad that throughout this sequel, the grandmother's existence is mentioned throughout, both in flashbacks and present day, to set up her eventual appearance at the end. Number 1, A Quiet Place takes the spot. As good as this film is, there are elements about it that have caused many fans to scratch their heads in confusion. You see, the whole premise of this movie is that they can't make any noise. Even the tiniest sound of a pin drop would make the monsters appear and devour them alive. But at one point, we see Lee take his son to a waterfall to show him they can now speak without sign language like they always do. And they can also make loud noises, as long as the ambient noise of the waterfall is louder than they are. So a lot of fans have said, why don't just move near the waterfall? Why do they have to go through the do-or-die life on the farm when they have the waterfall to protect them? And why Evelyn, who was so far along in her pregnancy, not taken there? He should have set up some kind of camp there so that any screams from the childbirth could be masked. But surprisingly, I'll like to come to their defense. It's just technically impossible to set up a new home at the waterfall a mile or two away from their farmhouse, which most likely is their home before the aliens arrived. When people suggest that they build an entirely new house by the river, they are most likely forgetting that starting a new habitable construction would take years. Imagine carrying building materials from the farmhouse to the waterfall and back on foot. Remember, they can't use their truck. I'll say they were living the most logical lifestyle they could by the farmhouse as possible, with warm beddings, growing their crops quietly, in a world where any small noise can equal death. For me, the only reasonable plot hole is that, as we might have observed, characters are seen walking barefoot to try and mask their sound to a greater degree. But that was not the case with Emmett. He prefers to keep his footwear on, suggesting that this isn't as big a deal as it's made out to be. In conclusion, this movie deserves the commercial success and critical acclaim it has garnered. It was bold, ambitious, and it became a smash hit even for a niched alien-themed horror movie. And finally, a special pick requested by one of our subscribers, The Dark Knight. In the opening sequence of the movie, the Joker and his clowns carried out a bank heist and their getaway car was a school bus. We can see them ramming that school bus from behind into the bank's lobby. Okay, let's pretend the school bus's windows are made out of titanium as they weren't damaged from the collision, but that's not the issue. The issue is them getting away by blending in traffic with other school buses right in front of the police who were racing towards the bank robbery scene. In actual sense, with the dust spilling everywhere, and the fact that their getaway vehicle just pulled out of a bank lobby, where it had crashed into and no one saw it to alert the incoming police, makes it the dumbest bank heist ever. And lastly, where did the stairs go? As you can see, they needed stairs to get into the bank, but the bus literally pulled out of the building with no stairs. Definitely not the same street nor building. That'll be all, folks. Please do ensure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out similar content as this. And please smash the like button and share. Thank you.